Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is your host Thomas Sire from On the Hot Podcast. Today, this could be episode 122 for you guys. This episode this week is going to be a solo episode, just your host only. Of course, this episode is going to be coming out on all four of our platforms: our Instagram account, our Facebook account, our YouTube account, and our Apple Podcast account. So let's go ahead and dive into the first segment of episode 122. I'll be sharing my top 5 NFL performances from week 4 of the 2023-24 NFL season. So starting off with, and I'll be ranking this, by the way, from 5 all the way up to number 1. So at number 5, this player I do believe had the 5th best performance during week 4, and that's A.J. Brown's wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles, his performance against the Washington Commanders. A.J. Brown helped the Philadelphia Eagles pick up a win in overtime against a divisional rival and the Washington Commanders on Sunday. A.J. Brown played phenomenal. It was definitely Jalen Hurts' favorite weapon on Sunday in that game against the Commanders. A.J. Brown had a total of 9 catches for 175 receiving yards and had 2 receiving touchdowns. The Commanders' defense had no answer for A.J. Brown all game, and that's really one of the reasons why they won this game in overtime, is because A.J. Brown put the offense on his back and had a great performance at the wide receiver position. Hell, A.J. Brown played so good against the Commanders, he was sent to do an immediate drug test by the NFL after having a stellar performance. To me, that's a big performance. A.J. Brown is number 5 on my list in terms of top performances this week. And number 4, this spot doesn't go to an individual player, and instead it goes to an entire team. At number 4, I have the Denver Broncos overcoming a 28-7 deficit against the Chicago Bears. So this one goes to the whole entire team for the Denver Broncos pulling off this massive comeback victory against the Chicago Bears. The battle of the unbeatens. Both teams week 4 were 0-3. Both teams were battling to seek their first win in this year's NFL season. And with 14 seconds left in the third quarter, the Bears had a 28-7 lead over the Denver Broncos with just 14 seconds left in the third quarter. Heading into the fourth quarter, the Bears were looking like they were going to become 1-3. Cruising to a blowout victory over the Denver Broncos. The Broncos were not going for that, and the Broncos scored 24 unanswered points in the last 15 minutes of this game to pick up their first win of the season. If that's not gutsy from a team, if that's not a great team performance, then I don't know what is. They played horrible in the first 3 quarters. They made the fourth quarter count, and that's really what it counts the most in football, that fourth and final quarter. You push for greatness, you push for wins in that final quarter, and that's what the Denver Broncos did. Russell Wilson actually looked pretty good against the Chicago Bears. I know the world has been slandering him. I know me and my co-host Rob Sarasula have been slandering him and Sean Payton, but he actually looked good in that game against the Chicago Bears. He threw for 3 passing touchdowns, and the Denver Broncos defense stepped up in a big way, climbing back from that 28-7 deficit. Came away with 2 key takeaways and stopped the Bears defense on that 4th and 1, which they could have arguably went for that field goal. The Bears went for it on 4th and 1. The Denver Broncos answered the call. They stepped up and had a monumental stop, which led them to get capitalizing on that comeback victory, winning that game 30-28. And I have to give it to him. Number 4 goes to the whole entire Denver Broncos team for overcoming that 28-7 lead that the Chicago Bears blew, and they came all the way back. They're number 4 on my list. And number 3, back to the player side of things, I have quarterback Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. His great performance against the Miami Dolphins ranks at number 3 for me this week. Josh Allen made one of the hottest teams in the National Football League, one of the final unbeaten teams at the time in the Miami Dolphins, look like an average football team Sunday when they played them at home against their divisional rival in the Miami Dolphins. A red-hot team that just scored 70 points the week prior. Josh Allen made that defense look very average. It made that Miami Dolphins team look very average as well. He heard the noise that the Miami Dolphins could potentially be the best team in the AFC, let alone the AFC East, and they could potentially win the division this year. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills heard all that noise heading into that game on Sunday. That was supposed to be a highly anticipated game, but it turned out to be a highly anticipated beatdown and by the hands of Josh Allen, who was all over this blowout performance, all over this blowout win for the Buffalo Bills. Proved that he still is one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. I know I get on him I know I'll get on his ball placement. I know I get on him in terms of turning over the football. But Josh Allen proved on Sunday he's still one of the elite quarterbacks in the National Football League, throwing for 340 passing yards, going 21 for 25 passing, 4 passing touchdowns, and finished the game with a quarterback rating of 158.3 against at the time, a undefeated Miami Dolphins team. If that's not a stellar performance, I don't know what is. Josh Allen is number 3 on my list. And at number 2, I have Christian McCaffery, running back for the San Francisco 49ers, his stellar performance against the Arizona Cardinals. That 49ers and Carolina Panthers trade is aging like fine wine. Christian McCaffrey looks unstoppable in Kyle Shanahan's offense. He's putting together a good year thus far, and he's looking like he could be in the race for a potential MVP candidate for this year's NFL season. Christian McCaffrey balled out against the Arizona Cardinals. He had a total of 177 total scrimmage yards. That's accounting for him rushing the ball and playing a part in the passing game as a receiver. He had a total of 4 touchdowns against the Arizona Cardinals. Like I said, if Christian McCaffrey keeps this up, there's no reason why he can't be an MVP conversation. There's no reason why he shouldn't be top 5 in the race right now in terms of players having a chance to win the MVP this year. He's looked phenomenal. Kyle Shanahan's offense. He's looked really good running the football for them. He looks like he's very explosive. He's like a dynamite bat in that backfield on a weekly basis. He's looking like $1 million right now. Christian McCaffrey's performance against the Arizona Cardinals is number 2 for me. But number one for the best performance in Week 4 has to go to Khalil Mack and his performance against his former team and the Raiders. Khalil Mack, if you guys ever wonder what the perfect revenge game is in the National Football League, Khalil Mack showed exactly what it was. Playing his former team that traded him just a few years ago, Khalil Mack went on to have a total of 6 sacks, harassing Aiden O'Connell in that game. It should be illegal how badly he harassed Aiden O'Connell in that game when they played against the Raiders on Sunday. And he finished the game with 6 sacks, 9 pressures, and 2 forced fumbles. Khalil Mack was all over the game. He had left his presence on the football field. Definitely was the reason why the Los Angeles Chargers won that game against the Raiders on Sunday. The entire game was based off of his performance, and that's what helped the Chargers win that game against the Raiders. Khalil Mack is now the 6th guy in NFL history to have 6 sacks in an NFL game, and now is tied as the league leader in sacks off of one performance, having 6 sacks in Week 4. So those are my top 5 performances from Week 4 in the 2023-24 NFL season.